Wow. We're rolling, baby. We
And
got
welcome everybody to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton with my great friend, former Milwaukee Bucks center Paul Mokeski, coming to you on a Wednesday evening. Uh, we're a little off schedule this week, so we're here on a Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a great week as we get over hump day. Mo, it is so good to see you, brother. And I couldn't wait till Wednesday because normally we would be talking on Monday, and just to get your thoughts on what we've seen in the NBA playoffs. But before we get to that, I I, I, I do want to run something by you. Last night we had the NBA debut of probably the most talked about women's basketball player we have ever seen. I'm not saying she's the best women's basketball player we've ever seen, but in this new age of information, Caitlin Clark is the most highly anticipated debut to the WNBA in its history. Had 20 points last night, but the Indiana Fever, they got blew out, and everything she does is being dissected from the 10 turnovers to her overall game. Just your thoughts on all that.
Well, first of all, yeah, you think about greats like Cheryl Swoops and Cheryl Miller and, all the greats that have come, before. But, the day and the era in which we live in, everything is magnified. Social media is so big and, it's just, it's a different age that we live in and everything is magnified and, but it's the same. Like look at the NBA playoffs, right? Everybody magnifies every game and every play and every call. So that's just the time we live in. But if you have any basketball brain at all, you are gonna know that and when Caitlin Clark moves from playing with 18-year-old girls to women in the WNBA that are bigger, stronger, more physical, better, she's going to struggle some. And, Caitlin Clark has nice size. She's like 6 foot or 6'1", but she's really skinny. She has great basketball IQ, great passer. But guess what? She has to realize, and you know what, Rickey? I might put it on their coaches a little bit because they should have been telling her that all those passes you were making in college, that ain't going to play in the WNBA. They're longer, they're more athletic. And did they tell her that? Because, some of those passes are telegraphed and cross court, and those turn into 10 turnovers faster than anything. And they should have warned her about that, or, in some way. But, she struggled. She was 5 for 15, turned the ball over, but she's going to get better and better. And, you could tell she's playing with better players that can catch better and finish better. It's just going to take a little time. And guess what? She also has a target on her back. Everybody in the WNBA wants a piece of her.
Yeah.
I can't think of a player in the recent future that passed. I mean, that in the NBA has been like that. LeBron, maybe, Kobe, maybe, kind of like the way that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen treated Tony Kukoc in the Olympics back
Yeah.
then. They just abused him, but she's going to get better. I'm not so sure how good their team is. I think they're okay, but I don't think they're top notch. I mean, I'm here in Las Vegas watching the Aces play, who are really, really, really good. And they're actually, I think they play Thursday here. They play. Caitlin Clark comes in Thursday or this weekend, and they usually play in a 10,000 seat arena. They moved it to T-Mobile, which is an 18,000 seat arena,
Right.
and it's pretty close to sold out. So, her draw is there. her play is going to get better. But like a famous quarterback said, and other play, relax,
Exactly. Thank you, Mo.
relax, just
Thank you, Mo.
relax. Everything's a panic. Everything like in a playoff series, right? You win game one, the winning team is doing everything right, and the losing team's doing everything wrong. Then the other team wins. Well, now it's flip flopped, and the other team is. It's like the Minnesota Timberwolves series, right? They won the first two games. Their bigs are great. They're playing the Joker. They're defending them, and they're going to go on to the NBA Finals. Down a little bit, slow your roll. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, buddy, man, I tell you, Mo, but I appreciate you saying that about Caitlin Clark. And, the mere fact we're talking about the WNBA, and both of us, we love basketball, uh, period. But the WNBA has never been a sport that was high on the watch list of a lot of.
Rickey, I'm watching NBA playoff games, and then I turn to ESPN, and there's WNBA.
Yeah.
There's the Aces on WNBA. There's not only the Caitlin Clark game, but the Aces are on ESPN. I mean, that's something. That's a huge step for that league.
Yeah, yeah. So, as Mo said, relax, because that jump from college to professional in the NBA, the NFL, the WNBA. I mean, that's just a huge jump, isn't it, Mo?
Yeah, and every sport it is, right? I mean, you jump from high school, then you go to college, then you go to pro. It's just those big jumps, and the more involved you are as a player, the bigger star you are. The jump is just the same. It's huge.
Yeah,
Players get bigger, stronger. That's why I tell players. I told them in the G League all the time, D League. Guess what? You can't live on your athleticism forever because eventually you're going to run into players that are taller, bigger, stronger, and more athletic and longer. That's the nature of the game, you know? And so you have to prepare. The one thing that Caitlin Clark has, basketball fundamentals and basketball IQ and a deep 3-point shot. So she's going to be fine.
yeah. And we want to welcome all our viewers in. Thank you for tuning in. We're on a Wednesday night this week. We'll be back on our regular schedule next week. We already got some comments coming in, and we're going to get to all of those. Most speaking of running and jumping, a lot of that is going on in Chicago at the pre-draft workouts there, which I'm sure you have attended over your career as a coach and scout.
Many times.
Yeah, what when you go in there, of course you want to see the talent, but what else will these guys be looking for there?
Well, I mean, I went when it started in a small college in Chicago, and then it got huge and went to Orlando, and now it's back in Chicago in a big arena. And it's a chance to see the players in the draft. But in the past, a lot of the top level first rounders didn't participate. They would go and get weighed and get measured and do some of the physical stuff, but they would never play and they would never do shooting drills. But now, with the new NBA collective bargaining agreement, every player that's invited has to go and they have to participate. And I think that's a good rule. And they're now playing games. Before, a lot of guys didn't play in the games because they don't want to get exposed or, drop in the draft ranking. And now they all have to play. You turn on ESPN2 in the mornings out here, and you're watching 3 hours of the combine. And it's a flashback for me because I went for years and years. I went years ago trying to find a job in the NBA and ended up in the CBA. And then I went for years as an NBA coach, maybe trying to look to move up or maybe trying to get my next job. So in the stands, people don't understand in the stands, it's a job market. There's all the GMs, all the head coaches, all the assistant coaches, all the player personnel people. They're all there. Some people have jobs, they're sitting high and mighty. Some people are looking for jobs. Some people are out of jobs. I'll tell you one guy that's there right now, Darvin Ham. He's looking for his next job and he's getting interviewed by people because everybody's in the same place. Lakers are interviewing coaches. There's a lot of little stuff that goes around, not talking about the players. Now, talking about the players in a controlled area like they are, so the NBA can control them. They can put them in the drills they want them in. They can measure them for what they want to measure. And like I'm looking at you, Steven, and we'll get to Bronny a little bit more. But you realize what happens is Bronny's been known as being 6'3" or 6'4", and he's really 6'1.5". But he's got a 40-inch vertical, so that's something. But this is what NBA teams want to see. How tall is he really? How much does he weigh really? How much is his arm span really? How much is his vertical really? And so they test it, and then they put him in 3-on-2 and 2-on-1 and 1-on-1 stuff in the post. So they're really evaluating what these players' skill level is. And then they do interviews with all the players, and they get them in a room and they ask them questions, and they see their personalities and basketball IQ and all that stuff. So it's an interesting week, and from all ends. And as a player, I was, it happened later in my career. I wish I would have got to participate because I would have been a damn second rounder. I would have been a first rounder. But, but I mean, from players, just think you're playing or doing drills on a court, and there's every GM, most of the coaches, all the media, they're all looking at you. They're all watching you, and you have to perform. And, that's, it's a really unique situation. And I think ESPN does a really good job of covering it.
Yeah. Hey, Steve brought up Bronny. What are your thoughts? I mean, when I heard he was 6'1.5", that was stunning to me.
It wasn't to me. Danny Manning was, guys that don't remember, Danny Manning was player of the year at Kansas, first pick in the draft, had a great NBA career. At Kansas, he was 6'11". When they measured him in Chicago, he was 6'9". That's a big difference, right? And, that's one of the sheets that they always have all these box scores and all this information. All these sheets are available. You pick up these books and these sheets, and everybody gets that sheet once they measure everybody and weigh everybody because they want to see how tall they really are. And here's the thing that a lot of people out there are confused about. They measure players in their shoes and without shoes. And everybody says, why do they measure them without shoes? They play with shoes on. Because they want their true measurement against each other. So if we play, Rickey, and I wear Nikes and my shoes are 1.5 inches higher, and your shoes are 1/2 inch higher, I'm 1 inch taller in my shoes than you are. But if we measure barefoot, that's more of a comparison of what you really are. Because look at the shoes now. You can add 1.5 inches to your height with the shoes you wear. That's why they measure in bare feet, to compare measurements. I was a little surprised that he was 6'1.5". That means that he's really, really, really a small two guard. And I think I didn't see the games today, but they were talking about putting him at the point to see if he can play point. But the problem I have, Rickey, is Bronny James is not an NBA player, in my opinion, right now. He's been through a heart problem. He played at USC, which is a lower level conference. He averaged less than 5 points a game in college. So why can you? And I think his dad, even though with LeBron's, all his, love for him and all that, I think when he came out halfway through the season, said Bronny could play on our team right now with the Lakers right now. No, he couldn't. Come on, he's not ready yet. You talk about Caitlin Clark's adjustment. Bronny's not ready. He's out of his league, and it showed. He played 19 minutes the other day and had 4 points. Hello, that's what.
You know what, Mo? I think a father's love, because LeBron's been one of the smartest basketball players we have seen. But his judgment on this one is really kind of.
You know as well as I know, Rickey, when you put the sun visor on about your sons, you have different but I think it put unfair pressure on him. And I think he said something yesterday. I just want to be able to play in the NBA, not necessarily play with my dad. And I think that's part of the pressure that LeBron put on him. And he was in the stands today watching, which I would too as a son. But Bronny, I think Bronny needs to go back to school. I think he
Yeah.
still has that option. Get in maybe a better scenario where you can play and develop. But the problem.
He could still go back to USC after going to the.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, if he has not signed with an agent for. You can sign with an agent because you can have an agent for NIL now in college and all this stuff, but there's some certain wording that it can't have. And I believe you could go through the process. Heck, you could go through the draft and go back. I think Edie, the kid from Purdue, went back last year after this combine.
Yeah.
But the thing that bothers me, Rickey, they gave Bronny a spot that somebody else in this country in college earned. Someone could not go to this combine because Bronny took a spot, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah, Mo, the questions and comments are lining up, and
let's get them, baby. Let's go at them.
We're gonna get to them, and we're gonna get there. I can't wait to talk to you about these playoffs. I think they've been great. Seeing all these fresh faces out there, but I do want to go back. Timothy has a couple of comments about Clayton Clark, who's playing with Boston, the great player from South Carolina, the big, who's also with Indiana. She doesn't think they fit like Luka and Porzingis didn't fit. But we're still just a game in, Tim, with her career. So there's going to be some adjusting, right, Mo?
Yeah, I mean, when I look
at Boston is the big.
Yeah, but when I looked at, what is that? We're talking about Caitlin Clark. Is that what we're talking?
Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are on the.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think, yeah, but I didn't think Luka and Kyrie would fit, and they're doing pretty good. So, I think it's too early to say that, Tim. And Luka and Porzingis didn't fit together in Dallas, not because of their talent, because of their personalities. Luka is a demanding personality, and he and Porzingis clash right from the beginning. Part of it is their international experience against each other, probably, but I think that's more than their play because they should have fit perfect, right?
Right.
Porzingis, he shoots probably too many threes, but he can roll to the basket, catch like those guys are doing now for him. So I think it was more of a personality thing, and it's going to take Caitlin time to see if she fits in with that team and, down the road. But, Caitlin Clark can play the two, though. She's 6'1". In the WNBA, you can play the two at 6'1".
And remember, we're just one game in, everybody.
Yeah. And to your point, Tim, she's a rookie. They're not going to set a bunch of picks for her because she's a rookie. They're going to play. They're pros. So, she's going to have to fit in. Maybe set some more pick and rolls. But the problem is when they set pick and rolls for her, I thought the big stepped out, got a problem, and the length of the lady that was guarding her caused problems. And she's going to have to overcome in any team she plays on the length, athleticism, and strength of all the players that's defending her.
Yeah, Aaliyah Boston from Sand City is the best player on Fever. Caitlin can't be a volume shooter and has to shed her off. She's a really good passer, but she's going to have to make an adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, she only took I wish I did, but she only took 15 shots last night. Yeah. That's not outrageous. She only made 5 of them. That's a problem. And she had 10 turnovers because she was trying to make passes that don't work in that league. I wish some of the coaches would have told her that to begin with, but she will learn that. She's a really good passer and a willing passer. Hell, she went to Iowa with other players and passed to them. She'll be okay as a passer. She's a really good passer.
Yeah. I like her. She seems to be a basketball. She loves to play and compete, which is
one thing that I watched some of the game. One thing that bothered me about her, she got upset too easy. She got upset with the referees too easy. She got upset with some of the plays, and you got to chill out. This is the pros, man. You're not going to get the calls you got in college. I don't care who you are. And if you start getting upset at your teammates that are pros, also, that's not going to work very good for you. You need to chill out.
Yeah. Hey, here's a question, Mo, from my friend Wood Age 84. How much height did the Chuck Taylors used to add to the older players?
Uh, Chuck Taylors were cardboard and canvas. They had like a quarter of an inch of, of knots. That's a great question, though. That's why I've had 5 surgeries on my feet, and probably in for another one here because those shoes were horrible. And I wore them all through high school and all through college at Kansas, until I got in the pros, and because we were a Converse school at Kansas, so in the pros I switched over to Nikes and got to wear some decent shoes. Those shoes were horrible. They're even horrible to walk in.
Hey, Mo, we have these, all the technology today with the shoes and the medicine, the technology in medicine, but injuries are playing a bigger factor in the NBA as any point that I can remember in recent years. Right now, Donovan Mitchell's not in the lineup for the Cavaliers. Their best player has missed the last 2 games. Any reason for that? I mean, I guess if you get hurt, you get hurt.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I'm noticing now, there's a lot of calf injuries, right? And Giannis had a calf injury. Um, Donovan Mitchell has a calf injury now, and it seems like injuries there were like there were foot injuries, then there was knees, now then there's calves now. They seem to go in bunches, but I can't explain that because the treatment, the shoes, the gear, and the training is all so much better. Maybe we were just a lot tougher back then. How about that? and maybe
I,
and maybe we played when we shouldn't have played. How about that? Talking from a guy who's had 12 surgeries.
Monk, now you're laughing, but I think there's something to that. Uh, there's no
There's
way
hope.
you go. There's no way you missing a playoff game
No, I
if you
mean,
could walk.
if I could get out there, one year in the playoffs, we beat the Bulls, then we beat Philly, and we lost to Boston. But I had a knee injury that swelled up after every game. So, every game after every game I drained my knee, iced it, treated it the next day, and then played 2 days later for probably 30 days in a row. 15 times I did that. Uh, Probably not too good for why I have a knee replacement now and had 4 surgeries. But back then that's just what we did. And if you get out on the floor, especially in the playoffs, I mean, you know, I was injected with a broken rib. I tried to play, couldn't get it done. I've seen guys, go out there. If you go out there in the playoffs at 70%, you were expected to go out there. As long as it probably didn't permanently injure you, but who knows what that means. You were expected, your teammates, everybody expected you. You're 70%. Give me what you got.
But
Okay?
Mo, you probably played some, and a lot of your guys were guys today would not have played. You
Absolutely, no
probably played
question.
this. Yeah,
If that year, I probably would have never played in any of those playoff games in today's world. If my knee was swell up, I'm going to treat it and sit out 2 or 3 weeks and see how it feels. And I probably wouldn't have hardly played in any playoff games in today's world. That's
yeah.
just the way it was, though. So it's a different world, though. I mean, hell, you're talking about multi hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever. I mean, I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell on the bench tonight, and he's walking around fine, and he's coming out the bench and cheering and yelling at the refs. I'm like, back in the day, if you could do that, you would be on the floor trying to give it something. Give
Paul,
me
I was thinking the same thing watching him. I'm like, dude, you look pretty good over there in your street clothes.
Those
Hey,
days are long
Steve got a
gone.
great point about Andrew Toney and his Converses. He had the was it plantar
Fasciitis.
fasciitis, and Mo, to our maybe some of our younger viewers out there, tell them about Andrew Toney, a guy we never really talk about.
Yeah, I mean Andrew Toney, one on
76ers two guard.
on a team with players like Charles Barkley, Dr. J. He played with Bobby Jones. I mean, Daryl Dawkins. I mean, come on, man, they're all Hall of Famers. He was one of the best players. He was off the bench, automatic points. I think they called him in Boston. They called him the Celtic Killer because he killed those guys. He was a instant offense guard that was really hard to guard, and he's playing in today's world. You know, he couldn't. He didn't have the range of Steph Curry or something, but he had the game and could get up points in a hurry. So he's a great player. A lot of overlooked guys back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the Cavs, they're gone fishing. They lost 113 to 98 against the Celtics. They won game 2 of the series, but the Celtics just didn't panic and just put them away, winning the next 3. Your thoughts on that series, Mo?
Well, Porzingis is hurt, so
Right.
that's hurting them. But Boston has a deep team, and I was watching part of that game. If you watched any of that game, Al Horford, who's replacing Porzingis, who's 37, he's going to be 38 in 2 weeks, is killing. He's shooting threes, saving the ball from out of bounds. So when you have a man down and someone like Horford can step up for him and you're that deep, that's why, Rickey, we talk about depth, right? Because those guys have to step up. And he did. And, you got Tatum and Brown and, some guys that are, White, who's playing well. So, you got a deep bench, you got something to go to. And, if you're looking at the Cavs, I mean, I think the game that Mitchell had 44 against him in a game. And, so when he's sitting down, then you're looking at Garland, who had 30 points last game. I don't know what he had tonight.
He had 11 tonight. Al Horford had 22 points and 15 rebounds.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Come on,
Porzingis'
man.
numbers. And then, but if you're Cleveland, you have, who has to step up? Well, you're looking at Garland, who had a tough game here, but he's a good guard. Mobley, Strus, who's a shooter, and then you have Levert, who had 19, and he had 4 the other night, and then Thompson, who's 40, and Wade, and look at the difference in the roster. That's why I keep telling you, look at the rosters and the teams with depth and players that can step up are the guys that make it through 7-game series, especially when a player goes down like Donovan Mitchell. And with
Go ahead.
with the Bucks bowing out early, the Knicks are beat the heck up, but I think they're going to end up beating Indiana. So now Boston could have a sweep or a gentleman's sweep against the Knicks, and waiting on probably Denver in the West. So their line to a championship ring is really nicely laid out right now.
I was going to ask you about the other Eastern Conference semifinal. The Pacers walloped the Knicks in Indianapolis. 2 games to tie it up. Came back to New York, and the Knicks just jumped all. Talk about a team undermanned, Mo. The undermanned Knicks just ran all over them, and I just can't figure out how Brunson is so effective scoring the ball. He gets to shoot it a lot, yeah, but man, he makes plays.
Listen, it's mind-boggling to me in a 3-day time span between 2 playoff teams in the second round. There's a 67-point difference. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How you can lose by 37 one night and win by 30 the next night. It doesn't make any sense to me when you're in the playoffs. It's mind-boggling to me, and it's happening more and more. But I mean, when you look at, I think Brunson is the only starter for the Knicks that started the season as a starter. How about that?
Yeah.
Randall's hurt. Can't remember there's so many guys that are hurt, but guys are stepping right up, right? Here's what happens. Like Jason Hart is a really good basketball player, right? He played in the World Cup. He's about 6'4", tough guard, great rebounder, the best guard rebounder in the league. Averages like he's averaging like 12 rebounds in the playoffs from the guard position. Great defender, really physical, really tough. But guess what? Now that some of those Knicks go out, who's going to score? Well, Jason Hart, is scoring 18, 20, 19. He is the one that's stepping up, becoming a scorer now at the guard position to help Brunson out. And then, we talked about adding players during the season. The Knicks quietly added a guy named Alex Burks during the season.
Yeah, tell me about
and he had 18 last night because he's a veteran scorer. 32-year-old guy that's been around the league, averaged 14, 15, 12. He can score. So those guys, picking them up is important. And then Hartenstein, who's a, energy guy, he's not a total liability on offense. I think he only scored 7 points, but he had 17 rebounds, 7 offensive, because he's everywhere. So, guys like that are filling in. I think Indiana goes home and wins. And then there's a game 7, and guess who's happy? Boston. Boston is done. They're taking the day off tomorrow. Players, coaches are preparing their game plan for both teams. Players are relaxing, resting, getting healthy. Porzingis maybe gets some work on the court. Because guess what? If Porzingis isn't back by the finals, they're not going to win against Denver if Denver's there. So this time, these 2 or 3 or 4 days give them time to heal, recuperate, and get ready for the next series. It's huge.
Yeah. And you were saying Jason Hart, you mean Josh Hart?
Josh Hart, yeah.
Yeah, Josh Hart. Brunson had 44 last night, 18 of 35 from the field. Now, Mo, you were the man in high school. You were all everything, recruited by everybody. Did you ever have a game where you got 35 shots?
No. We didn't have a 3-point line. My highest game was 41 points with no 3-point line, but I bet I shot 20 times, maybe.
Yeah. You guys were probably blowing everybody out. So
no shot clock. A lot of these teams would do the 4 corners, and we had games in high school when I was a senior. That score was 18-7.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was tough.
I'm glad they got rid of that rule, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you think Indy wins at home?
I think so. I mean, how could you not think so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one team wins by 37, the other team wins by 30. I mean, why not? Why not?
Yeah. I tell you, the guy I like for Indy is T.J. McConnell. I mean, he is just a dynamo out there.
Toppin off the bench too, is he's a tough player, physical player. I like both those guys, but they're just, Siakam to me seems a little timid. I don't know what's wrong with him. He struggles in the playoffs, I think. Their big kid Turner, who can shoot threes, is doing well, but in that series, the big question mark is Halliburton. Where is Halliburton? Halliburton, the all-star. Halliburton, the future. Halliburton, the all-around player. I think he's hurt. I think he's banged up. So are a lot of people. But, in the last game, he had 13 points, 2 rebounds, and, he's missing in action. If he doesn't step up, Indiana's not going to win. So, I look for Halliburton to have a big game. But I think something's wrong with this knee or his back or something. But who knows? We'll see.
What is talking about the Celtics having an easier time than the 08 title team? We won 7 games with a 37 win team, while they won 66. I'm trying to remember who that 37 team win team was. Would they let us know that? And man, we got all kind. Let's just get to some of these questions and
Well, Boston is running into us because the Bucks screwed up and Giannis was hurt, and the Sixers Embiid was hurt and just playing through a bad injury. So if Philly is healthy and Milwaukee's healthy, it's a different road for Boston. But guess what? We live in the world of reality, and they're not, and they're done. And I agree. I think they got a straight shot to the finals. They just need to do it effectively and get Porzingis home, and then they might bring a title to Boston. We'll see.
and that was the Hawks that took them to 7 games in 2008. That's probably Steve Smith, and he's really the only guy I kind of remember from that Atlanta team. Um, let's go back to this one, Mo. When some players played with Chuck Taylors into the mid '80s, then the weapons came out. Converse had Bird and Magic, and failed to market them like Nike marketed Jordan.
Yeah, and the shoes that Bird and Magic wore, the Converse, were not Chuck Taylors. They were
Yeah,
leather. They were better shoes. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Tito, Al Horford's father was Tito Horford, who was supposed to be a great center for the Bucks. Didn't
Well,
happen.
yeah. First of all, he wasn't supposed to be a great center. He was supposed to be a good player. I played with him, and I think he's either from Trinidad or Bahamas or somewhere. Anyway, Tito, you saw him on TV. He looks like he could still play in
Yeah.
today's game.
He was always a big, strong looking guy.
Physical specimen. But I remember his first year in Milwaukee when the doctors, we did our physicals, and the doctors look at his feet. They were so gnarly because for so many years he was wearing shoes that were 2 sizes too small. So they
Mm.
had to break all his toes, break all his toes, and put
Whoa.
pins in them so he couldn't walk for 2 months. They had and put those pins in him with the little knobs at the end and help his feet heal. That's part of the reason why his career never turned out like it was. But great guy, great ambassador. It's got to be so proud of how his son is playing at 37 to be 38.
Tito's a real pro, man. Like you said, okay, we need you, old man. Can you give us something? How about 22 and 15?
You mean Al? Yeah, Al. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, Mitchell is a free agent this summer. Is not about to risk losing hundreds of millions of dollars. And he might have a point there. Tim may have a point with that, Mo.
Yeah, I actually brought that up a few minutes ago, didn't I?
Yeah,
I said the
yeah,
money is different. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. So players aren't willing as they used to be and risking it to play. And guess what? I don't think a lot of players today sacrifice that much to have their team win. Sorry, that's just the way it is. I'll be competitive and I'll play hard, but you know what? If it's between me and the team, I'm going with me, baby. That's just the way it is. And you know what? I don't blame them. If I had $300 million on the line, you know, you got to remember my first year in the league, I played for $60,000.
yeah.
I mean, so yeah, he's probably thinking, about the future. And, with the calf injury, you never know. Everybody looks back at Kevin Durant when he played against Toronto with a bad calf or whatever it was. I think it was Achilles, and it popped on him, and he was out for a whole year. So I agree with you. He's thinking about his future, and, he's going to ride it out. And guess what? He's going to sign a $300 million contract. So,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We already had that one.
yeah.
Barkley said many times that Tony was the best player he played with. Uh, he played with Moses and Doc, although Doc was older by then.
Yeah, but Moses wasn't.
Yeah.
Fo.
Shoot. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. We got it. We'll get to them. In the meantime, Mo, let's go over to the West, where I mean these have just been some very interesting series over there. Tonight we got Dallas and OKC. Just your overall thoughts on that series, and what can we expect tonight?
I mean, it's going to be a hard fought game. They all have, you know, each team is winning a game, losing a game. Um, Dallas has more talent and is deeper, in my opinion. OKC has younger talent, and Gillis Alexander is one of the best players and he's a great point guard. Um, you know, so it's going to be interesting. Kyrie, I'm looking at the last game, and you know, Luka's hurt. I think he had 18 and 12, which isn't very good for him, and 10 assists. But Kyrie, I'm looking at his numbers. He had nine points and 9 assists. What's up with that? I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I know Luka, his knee is messed up. He can't push off. He's going to fight through it. But you know, OKC uh, feeds off their crowd and that energy, and they're young and they have talent. You know, I think this series could go 7 if Luka's okay. And with Dallas, I talked about this the other day when they picked up PJ Washington, Gafford, and Lively. They really help their team. Those are bigs that can shoot, score, catch dunks and lobs, and they really help their team. Where, if you remember, about a month ago, I picked them to be my dark horse in the
I remember.
West.
Yeah.
I think Luka being banged up, I think that hurts that. And gosh darn it, I'm becoming a Denver fan. Those dudes, man. I don't know how they do it with 6.5 players, but they do. But Mavericks, you know, they're right there now. They made the right moves. They were too small, not deep enough a couple years ago, and they fixed that. And they got some talent now, and they got two pretty good players in Kyrie and Luka, I think.
Yeah, and Mo, this we shouldn't be surprised that these series are so competitive and so interesting when you look at the Wild Wild West all season long. You know, 1 through 8,
Mm.
you had teams capable of beating each other. I think the Lakers might have beaten OKC. I think the Lakers were 8 seed, 9 seed, or something. I think they beat OKC 3 or 4 straight times during the regular season. So these matchups, it depends on who you got. And everybody talks about styles make fights in boxing, but that applies to basketball too, doesn't it?
A little bit, but you know, it's matchups, but it's also who's healthy, because that's what the
Yeah.
matchup is. But and it's a will of, you know, if you're a slow down team, you got to get the another team to speed up. You got to get them to slow down. But you know, OKC has to shoot better from the three. I think they shot 20% last game, and Dallas Mavericks have to shoot better from the free throw line. They were 12 for 23, whatever they were 52%. And Luka missed a huge free throw that would have tied the game up, right? So, you know, those are a couple things that you're going to look at tonight when they play. But, you know, and it seems like with them, home court doesn't matter as much because each team is one on the other team's court. But we'll see tonight. I think this could go 7. You know, Denver wants to end their series fast. I don't know if Minnesota has enough gas in the tank to get them to 7, but we'll see.
Mo, let's get to that series. Minnesota jumped all over Denver first 2 games, winning 2 games in Denver, and people are talking about a 4 game sweep, maybe a gentleman's sweep, maybe
Yeah,
5. And somebody forgot to tell the Joker about that.
got to sell the whole team, right? Rudy
Yeah,
Tomjanovich, who's a friend of mine, great guy, great coach. once said, "Never underestimate the heart of a champion." Right? He said that, and Minnesota went in and did a great job against Denver in games 1 and 2 in Denver. Here's the problem, though: they go home, they kind of take a rest, and there's adjustments. There's adjustments in a 7-game series, and believe me, I understand this. When I was with Dallas, coaching with Dallas, we beat Miami the first 2 games in Dallas pretty handily. Then we went to play 3 games in Miami, lost all 3 of them, and then came home and lost game 6 for the championship. So I keep telling people how series can shift, and they shift fast. And couple things. Everyone was talking about the bigs, and I was too, with Gobert and Towns guarding the Joker, and how they gave him problems with their size and their length, and which was true in the first 2 games. But right now, when you look at the Joker, he is unguardable. No
That's
one, no
ridiculous.
team, no person, no era can guard him. He's 7 foot, 300 pounds, I'm telling you. Long arms, doesn't really have to jump. Great touch. I mean, he's making left-handed, right-handed floaters, back thing threes. He's got a smaller guy guarding him. He's banging him in. He's got a bigger guy. He's pivoting, and then he's setting picks, and he's popping, and he's passing. He's doing everything. And I don't know how. I think I saw the Minnesota and my friend Chris Finch in his first couple games. They were guarding him with the small, and then coming over with a bigger guy like Gobert, that could bother him. And I like that strategy, because if you come over with a smaller guy, he just looks over him. But he's such a good passer. He's so unselfish. I think they're doubling. You have to double him. Gobert is 7'3", 7'2", defensive player of the year, but he can't guard him in the post. He's not strong enough, and Luka's too good. So if you let him get 3 or 4 or 5 dribbles, forget about it. So, but I think they're coming too early when they trap him. They're coming on the catch. You got to wait till he takes a dribble or 2 and then come trap him. Maybe that's what they have to do. The other thing that happened in this series is Anthony Edwards, the unstoppable next Michael Jordan, became guardable. And you know how they did that? They trap him now, and they get the ball out of his hands early. They come to him at half court and trap him. He passes it to someone like Gobert, and then Gobert has to do a dribble handoff, and then they try to get it back to Anthony Edwards, and it's really a struggle. And he's going to have to learn. They're going to have to adjust to that. And instead of maybe when he passes out of the trap, he should cut to the basket. Then maybe he'll get a give and go, the old give and go. But those are the 2 things that have changed. The Joker has been unguardable, and Anthony Edwards, they've been trapping him and getting the ball out of his hands. We used to do it all the time. We did it with Michael Jordan. We did it with Larry Bird. We did it with Kobe Bryant. We did all those guys and make someone else make a play. And if they beat you, there it goes.
Mo, Rudy Gobert happens to be the current newly crowned defensive player of the year.
3 times.
3 times. Here, Gobert went 15. I'm sorry, the Joker was 15 of 22 from the field.
Yeah, well, and Gobert's not the only guy guarding him. Towns is guarding him. Nazi's guarding him. There's other guys guarding him, but they try to guard him, and it worked until game 1 and 2. Only Gobert, you guard him, and if he scores, he scores, but we're not going to let him get assists. And it worked, but you're right. He figured it out. And, and in my opinion, Gobert's long. He's pretty athletic. He's not tough enough. He's not physical enough. I mean, you got to get down and low and bang him out, but darn it, the Joker can spin on you and do all kinds of stuff. So, there's no individual guy, and right now there's no team that can guard him. And guess what? If they get in the finals with Boston and Porzingis is hurt, he's going to abuse Boston too.
Wow. I mean, he is a remarkable player, man. He really is. Hey Mo, this is a fun one. watch your YouTube Bucks and Next game. I love YouTube because you get to see the old school guys like Mo do their thing. Don Nelson had you, Alton Lister, Harvey Catcher, and Marcus Johnson, Junior Bridget, all in the game at the same time. You're 7-footer. Alton's a 7-footer. Catching 6'10", 6'11". Marcus 6'9". Junior was what, 6'6"?
Yeah. They had Mike Kaminsky, I think. They had Buck Williams. They had a couple other guys. Yeah, but back then, most teams play two bigs, sometimes three, and that's how we did it. I remember that series. We won that series in New Jersey, I believe, and that was one of my first. I think I just joined the Bucks like the year before, and that was one of the first series where I actually got to play and was a contributor. I played 20, 25 minutes a game, and but back then, Steve, a lot of teams played bigger guys, and you can match up with them. Uh, you know, Not many people went to small lineups back then.
Yeah.
You look at the NBA. I'll tell you the NBA, right? The NBA is cyclical, right? When I played Twin Towers, right? You had Ralph Sampson, Akeem Olajuwon, McHale and Parrish, Daryl Dawkins, Caldwell. Everyone had Twin Towers, right? And then everybody went to one big, and then Showtime with Magic handling the ball and a lot of the same size guys. Then everybody went to Batman and Robin. You had to have one superstar and one sort of superstar. Then it was the dream teams. Everybody had to have three superstars. Now it's back to Batman and Robin because Denver is doing well. But things are cyclical in the NBA, and back then, size was the way to go. And I don't remember the score of that game. I bet it was low hundreds or maybe below 100 because it was more slow down, more physical half court stuff. And guess what? They let us be more physical.
Yeah. And let me tell you, brother, you going up against Buck Williams, you better bring your hard hat because
That's right.
he was a warrior out there, man. And it was great basketball that time. Hey Mo, I don't know how much you got into the draft yet, but the Hawks got the -- 1 pick. My beloved Pistons, we just can't do nothing right.
You got messed around.
The worst thing we could do was fall to fifth. Of course, that's what we did. Have you had? I've heard a lot of people, and I think we had a question tonight talking about the kid from France, the big center, Alex Sarr. Have you had a chance to go in and look at him yet?
No, I mean I've seen some footage. He looks like the current NBA big. He's 7 foot. He's long. He can shoot. Don't know if his NBA range yet, but he'll get it. He's got a nice looking shot. He can run. He can catch. He can dunk. He can cover on quicker guys out on the floor. I think I haven't really dug into that much, but I think he's probably the first pick unless he really messes up in Chicago. But I'll give you some hope here, Ricky. The draft is not very strong. It's weak.
Right.
So I think the Pistons have the 8th pick now or something.
The 5th pick now.
They have the 5th pick. They're going to get the same players if they had the first pick. I mean, it's a toss up. So don't rest your soul, Ricky. It's okay. The Pistons are going to get. They're going to get the same. They're going to get the same quality player at 5 as they would at 1, pretty much.
Hey Mo, in a lot of mock drafts now, I see Zach Edey finally in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some footage of him making shooting drills in Chicago, which I told you what they do, right? They put you in what they see you, and he's shooting 3 NBA threes and making them like 10 out of 15, and like that. So that puts him in the market where I said he should be, kind of like a Brook Lopez guy, right? He can defend, he blocks shots, he rebounds, he struggles against the pick and roll. So do Brook Lopez and a lot of the bigs, Rudy Gobert. But if he can make threes and pick and pop some and mix it up, now he's moved into the first round. And I could see that happening. The Spurs got Yeah, they got 4-8, I think. The Spurs do. So they can either pick, or they can do some damage with some trades and see if they can get some veteran guys that can help Wembyamba get better team around him, because he seems to me like he's very competitive and doesn't want to wait too long, even though he's young. I mean, I think he's only 19 or whatever. But if they screw around and don't become somewhat competitive and get into playoffs, he could get disillusioned. So, they can do a couple things. They have 2 picks that are top 10. That's a nice position to be in.
Hey Mo, it when Edie was at Purdue, they were either, I don't think they were ever not ranked 1, 2, or 3, and they blew a lot of teams out. Should Coach Painter had given Edie, hey, you know what, we're up in this game. We're gonna let you shoot some jumpers, because he never shot the ball outside 5 feet, 4 feet.
I can relate. I was never allowed to shoot jumpers past 12 feet or 15 feet either. And then I got to the NBA and I figured out, if I can't make 20-footers consistently, I'm in a problem. That's what I learned how to do. But yeah, I think, Ricky, if I was coach, and I blew out some team or whatever, hey, the last 5 minutes, Edie, instead of rolling, let's have you pick and pop and see if you can take a couple 20-footers, because I know he can do it. I just saw him, and he's probably doing it in practice. So let's do that. I think you're right. And maybe some scouts would have saw that, but they're seeing it now. But yeah, I think you're right. If I was coach, I would have done that.
When you're big, bigs look out for bigs, man. Hey.
Nobody else does.
Wemby needs a Trae Young type. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta tries to move Young. But he's another guy. I don't know his value. And we talked about before James Harden. What is really his value, Mo? Because you see what happens when he gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe a trade. How about Donovan Mitchell type? How about that? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how about we package a number 4 and 8 and some player and get Donovan Mitchell? How about that?
Yeah.
I would look at that,
Mo, you guys were going against the Nets and Daryl Dawkins.
Yeah, that's a guy I told before. I mean, rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago, and just a great, great guy. Really imaginative, Chocolate Thunder, and naming his dunks and the Robozine rim shelling, whatever. He was an underappreciated player. He was 6'10", 260, 270 of muscle. He looked like a linebacker. Could jump out of the gym. I'm telling you, he could touch the top of the backboard probably. And could finish and had good hands, big hands, block shots, rebound, outlet. But I think he was too happy-go-lucky. I knew when I played him, I'm going to keep him happy. Hey, Big D, how's your family? How's it going here, man? We're going out to eat later after tonight, man. How's it going? Now, I want to keep him so he's not pissed off, because if he got pissed off, he could put you. I think there's a picture of me in some Sports Illustrated or something where he's dunking on me, and it's his head's above the rim. But he was like a Shaquille O'Neal, not as big, but that kind of power guy. Back when that wasn't really popular. Yeah, there you go. Cake shaking, baby making.
Thank you, Sandy. Mo, we gotta get out of here.
No, that's great to end on.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Sorry if we didn't get to all your comments. Hey, come back Monday, 9 p.m. Check us out at Sports Fluent. My great friend, Paul Mokeski. I'm Rick Hampton. Peace, everybody. Enjoy the games. Take care. See you, Mo.
See ya.